Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the pretty fascinating kind of dual nature of modern AI. Because on one hand, right, we have this immense, almost magical power to build these agentic, automated systems that do all our heavy lifting for us. But on the other hand, there are these hidden, compounding costs just lurking in the background, and they can silently drain your token limits and your wallet before you even know what hit you.
Seriously, think about it. It is entirely possible that those massive new agentic workflows you've been building are secretly racking up a huge token bill behind the scenes. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're going to investigate exactly how to build these incredible systems while dodging the hidden traps that catch so many builders off guard.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The AI automation revolution. 2. Building smart voice agents. 3. Unlocking Google Workspace's CLI. 4. The hidden token trap. And 5. Our token management masterclass.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the AI automation revolution.
To really show what's possible when you string the right tools together, imagine jumping off a client call and having a proposal generated for you, completely hands-free. Here's how that end-to-end workflow actually plays out. First up, a webhook grabs your raw meeting transcript straight out of Fireflies. Next, there's a polling loop that just waits for the AI summary to finish, and it pings you with a Slack message for human approval. Once you hit approve, a Claude AI agent steps in, basically acting like a senior solutions consultant, and it structures that transcript. Finally, it triggers the Gamma API to spit out a polished, image-rich slide deck. Boom! 90% of the work done instantly.
Moving right along to Section 2, building smart voice agents.
The core loop of a modern voice agent is actually pretty straightforward. A user speaks into the mic, the LLM processes the input, it makes a tool call, say checking your calendar, and then it speaks back. But here is the really incredible part. You no longer have to manually click through a bunch of clunky dashboards to set this up. By using Claude Code right in your terminal, you literally just describe what you want in natural language. It does the research, wires the API to cal.com, and builds the whole widget for your website all on its own.
Next up, Section 3, unlocking Google Workspace CLI.
We have to talk about a really stark contrast here. Traditionally, connecting Claude to Google Workspace meant relying on these heavy MCP servers, right? And the problem is, they load massive tool definitions into your context on every single message you send, which just eats up a ton of tokens. But there's a better way. Google actually has an open-source lightweight Workspace CLI that uses JSON-first bash commands. It lets Claude take something like a YouTube transcript and turn it into a perfectly formatted Google Doc instantly, totally bypassing all that bloated token overhead.
Okay, let's take a really quick breather because this is just fun. Hidden inside Claude Code version 2.1.89 is actually a Tamagotchi-style virtual pet system. Yeah, really. If you type the /buddy command in your terminal, it deterministically hatches a pet based on your user ID. You might get an epic ghost, or, like the developer in our source material got, Vortex, the chaotic common turtle. These little guys have stats for chaos, patience, and snark based entirely on your coding habits. They'll even occasionally drop speech bubbles with their opinions while you work, and the absolute best part, they cost 0 tokens.
All right, back to business. Section 4, the hidden token trap.
I really want this number to sink in for a second. 98.5%. A developer tracked a conversation that went over 100 messages, and they found that 98.5% of all the tokens they were billed for were spent just rereading old chat history. Think about that. Every time you send a new message, Claude has to reread the entire conversation from the very beginning. So the cost isn't just adding up, it is compounding exponentially. Your first message might cost 500 tokens, but message 30, that could easily cost you 15,000 tokens.
And look, a bloated context window doesn't just drain your wallet, it actually produces noticeably worse outputs. We call this context rot, or kind of like AI dementia. As your session grows, the model's attention gets spread way too thin. The data shows that retrieval accuracy actually drops from 92% down to just 78% as you get closer to that 1 million token limit. And thinking depth? That drops by a staggering 67%. The AI literally starts forgetting things, contradicting itself, and just getting lazy. You're effectively paying more money for a dumber model. Now you might be wondering, wait, doesn't Claude automatically compress the chat? Well, yes, auto-compaction does kick in at about 95% capacity, but relying on that is literally like frantically packing a suitcase 5 minutes before you leave for the airport. You're definitely going to forget important things because the AI is doing this compaction at its least intelligent point, right in the middle of all that context drop. Instead, manual compaction at around 60% capacity is just vastly superior. It's like calmly packing the night before with a checklist. Which brings us perfectly to Section 5, our Token Management Masterclass.
Let's start with some foundational, Tier 1 habits you need to build. First, start fresh chats frequently. Use that /clear command the second you switch to an unrelated task. Second, disconnect heavy MCP servers, like Google Calendar, when you aren't actively using them because they add invisible overhead to every single prompt. Third, always use plan mode before executing a big coding task so you don't waste a mountain of tokens going down the wrong path. And finally, keep an eye on your usage. Constantly monitor it with the /context and /cost commands. Make that invisible token drain visible.
Now, just a quick note on outputs. Output tokens cost significantly more than input tokens. And some folks think, oh, I'll just tell Claude to be concise to save money. But guys, that just isn't enough to solve a massive token bill, because there are so many invisible output tokens being spent formatting and writing files behind the scenes. You really need deeper architectural changes to your workflow to fix this. So the absolutely crucial point here is this number, 200. You must keep your globally read Claude.md file under 200 lines. This file gets read at the start of every single chat. If you haven't bloated up with 1,000 lines of text, you are paying a continuous, massive token tax every single time you just say hello. Treat it like a lean index that points to your other files rather than a giant dump of all your rules. And here is an absolute game changer, the /re command, or just double tapping escape. When Claude makes a mistake, do not just type, "that didn't work, try again." If you do that, the failed code stays in your context window forever, permanently polluting your future responses and bloating your bill. Instead, use the re command to literally rewind the context. It drops the failed attempt entirely, which keeps your working memory clean, precise, and cheap.
Another massive token saver is file conversion. See, AI models process text really efficiently, but files like PDFs and Word docs are just packed with formatting noise and layout metadata that the AI doesn't even need. By using tools to strip that out and convert those files to Markdown before you feed them to Claude, you get massive savings. We're talking a 90% reduction for HTML, 70% for PDFs, and 33% for Word documents. It is a no-brainer.
As your projects get more complex, you're definitely going to start using subagents. But remember, agent workflows use 7 to 10 times more tokens because they keep spinning up fresh context windows. So to manage this, delegate all your simple research and summarization tasks to cheaper subagents running the Haiku model. Save your expensive Opus tokens exclusively for the deep, complex architectural planning where you truly actually need that elite level of reasoning.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. Is a 1 million token context window just more room for AI distraction? A lot of people see that massive limit and they get lazy, just dumping entire code bases into a single session. But as we've seen today, bigger definitely isn't always better. That million token limit is insurance. It's not a goal you're trying to fill. It's a space that demands pristine context hygiene. Because if you manage your context efficiently, you won't just save money. You're going to build faster, smarter, and infinitely more capable AI automations.